All right, well, the foreign aid bill hasn't passed yet. Keep in mind, it has not passed yet. It is probably going to, though. See, it's passed the House. It's got to go through the Senate first. Joining me now, Senator Mike Lee, great state of Utah, is trying to put the brakes on this whole thing. Okay, Senator, what are you doing? How can we stop it? What are you doing?
It can be stopped, certainly. That's one of the things that I've been working on today, is to make sure that I communicate as widely as possible what it is that we can do here in the United States Senate. Look, they have to have 60 votes in order to bring debate to a close. The bill can't pass unless there are 60 votes to bring debate to a close. And we've got 51 Democrats and 49 Republicans. So it's not just the case that if all Republicans stood together on this and opposed the bill, it would fail. But we could even lose 7 or 8 Republicans, maybe even more if they lose any Democrats, and still defeat the bill. That's what has to happen here.
Okay, that sounds encouraging. So how many do we think we're going to lose? Look, it's not hard for me to list off at least 7 or 8, 9, 10, 15 crappy GOP senators. But how many do you think we're going to keep in the sane column here?
You know, Jesse, I wish I could give you a better answer on this. I think you're right. I think we could easily lose anywhere from 15 to 25 Republicans who may, in the spirit of getting things done, in the spirit of saying we want to pass this to show the American people that progress is possible in the Senate, they might get swept up on it. But if more people become aware of the fact that Republicans could stop it, and they become more aware of what the implications of this bill are, my hope is that they'll reconsider it. For example, Jesse, remember that just a few weeks ago, really starting back in November or December of last year, Republicans held a line. They drew a line in the sand, then they held it. We said, we're not going to give another dime to Ukraine, especially unless or until we've got language on the books, perhaps language that could be passed together with any language providing aid to Ukraine that would force Joe Biden's hand so he couldn't facilitate the drug cartels to the tune of tens of billions of dollars in profits a year in trafficking human beings across our southern border. And we're talking anywhere from 8 million at the low end to maybe 12 or 13 million at the high end. We don't know exactly how many people they've brought in, but it's somewhere in that range. And this continues to this day. We've got legislative text that we've proposed that, if enacted, could bring the border invasion to an abrupt halt. And yet we haven't inserted that into this legislative text. We've basically just acceded to the Democrats' demands. And when voters around America, particularly Republican voters, become aware of that, they're, I think, going to be more likely to ask their senators not to vote for this thing.
Senator, do the Republicans who are there, maybe the ones who don't necessarily align with you and guys like Rand Paul and others, but they are aware of the fiscal situation in this country, right? I mean, Mike, yes. It's not as if, even if you want to send money here and send money there, I mean, shoot, I'd send everyone on the planet a $100 bill if I could, Mike, but there's no money left. The money's all gone. Do they not know?
They know. And they also know that every time we just borrow more, which in the United States has essentially the same effect as just printing more money, it makes everybody a little bit poorer. It makes every paycheck purchase fewer boxes of cornflakes and less capable of paying the rent or the mortgage. It's making every dollar mean less. Now, that's really good for a small handful of wealthy people who can get more wealthy off of a bill like this, or even more wealthy off of anything that causes our dollar to inflate, because they can game the system out. But for most people, we're talking the overwhelming, like 99% of Americans, this really, really hurts. And they don't appreciate this when we knowingly spend more than we have, and especially when we're giving it to another country. And that's made even worse when we've already given that country $113 billion so far. That's more than every other nation on planet Earth combined. And when this is in Europe's backyard, this is in Europe. Our European NATO allies have Ukraine in their backyard. Now, we've been backfilling NATO countries through their security needs for decades and indirectly funding their march toward European-style socialism because we're providing such a significant part of their security umbrella. And they have failed to shoulder their share of the burden. Now we're doing that again, outside the auspices of NATO, paying even more of their share of their own security burden. The American people are smart. They know this isn't fair and it's not right.